Coming out from underneath somebody's boot is what I'm hearing. I'm getting out from beneath their boot. And I'm specifically, it's so strange. I'm getting this image of someone literally trying to put like their boot on your neck. And then I see a snake. It looks like a green snake. It slithers up behind them and then it bites them right in their Achilles heel. So I'm not sure if there's someone who has been in like a one-sided beef or competition with you, if you've been going through like some kind of spiritual warfare, or if you've been in a process of trying to untether or unbind yourself from certain people or certain cycles or situations. But there is this really big sense that there was an unfair like advantage, or there was like an unfair amount of people against you, or there was like an unfair or an uneven amount of like energy that was being thrown at your way, and other people's insistence on blocking you, bothering you, getting in your way. And a lot of this, honestly, a lot of this energy, it feels really petty. Like people just not liking you and like not having like a real reason why, and just like taking it upon themselves to like pick on you. It's like grown bully energy. It's like at your big age energy. It's really, really strange. But there is a clear, especially with that snake like biting the Achilles heel, there is a real sense that it really does not serve anyone to pay so much attention to you, collective, that they are losing sight of their own blind spots, is what I want to say. That there are other things that people need to be like staying on top of, their own protections, their own cleansings, the stuff that, you know, is going on in the world for them. And if they're too busy trying to keep you down, especially for like petty or like silly, unjustified reasons, or for a lot of you, even if they originally were like legitimate reasons to not like you, it feels like they, whatever they did, it's like they took it too far. They did too much. They did the most. Again, that's part of that. It's unfair. It's weird. It's like you took it to like a weird, strange place. I'm not sure why you did that. And so there seems to be something sneaking up. I just saw nature scrape. So you also might be seeing a lot of signs of, I know people are doing like a lot of like pre-autumn cleanup, but you might be seeing a lot of people like doing construction or like mowing the grass, or you might come across someone who's like digging up their front yard or like pouring concrete. It's like this idea of like, how do I want to phrase it? Hold for production. It's like weeding like the snakes out of your grass by bringing forth like a bigger snake. And so I guess who or whatever has been bothering you is about to get bit in their blind spot. That's going to allow them, through reaction, right, and kind of turning to like this new emergency that's like popping up for them, it will cause them to take their boot like off of your neck, which will give you an opportunity to get up. And I actually see you getting up off the ground. And while that person's like back is turned to you, I actually see you pushing them. So there is also like kind of a little bit of this energy of like getting your lick back. So for some of you, the impression that I'm getting, this is the Botanical Dreams Oracle, by the way. There's something here about a lot of you guys make yourselves unnecessarily vulnerable to bad people, to bad practitioners, to bad magic weavers, because you underestimate how far people's malice will go, because you have a sense of guilt around defending yourself, advocating for yourself, sticking up for yourself. It feels like, I don't know, I wonder if like you got bullied a lot as a kid in school and like you just kind of took it, and like you would come home and maybe your parents would say, oh, they're just mean, they're having a hard time at home, they're just jealous of you, but like no one ever said, hey, you know, you can actually hit back. And so I feel like for some of you, you're entering into your I hit back season. So some of you might be really guided over the next coming days and weeks to do things like cord cuttings, like return to senders. And they're trying to communicate, they're making a small correction in the channel that a lot of you guys have previously already begun the process of untethering and unbinding and disconnecting yourself from these kind of like negative, nefarious energies. But they're saying for a percentage of you that as you were like separating your energy, kind of like quietly, like I figured out like how to cut the cord and I'm just gonna separate it quietly, that someone came in and wanted to get like one last lick in, or like one last kick in, one last hit in before they were officially like cut off and out of your energy. And it feels like that is the thing. I was gonna leave quietly. I was just gonna disconnect this energy. I was just gonna cut the cord and be on my merry way. But because you tried to get one more hit in before I left, now I'm gonna push you back. Now I'm gonna advocate for myself. Now I'm gonna get my lick back too. So again, in the coming days and weeks, for some of you, maybe months, but in the coming days and weeks, I see a lot of you actually being guided to do deeper, more thorough cord cuttings. I see you working on return to senders. I see some of you even being pushed into learning some kind of defensive and offensive magics. For those of you that are like, I'm going to think that I am protected, but I'm actually not going to put in any actual protections around me, I think you will be shifting that. Now, to clarify, one of the most important things you can do like in your protective works, or really in any work, manifestation, anything, healing, it really is belief. It all starts with that core seed of belief. So it's good to have the belief of I am covered, I am protected, but at the same time, it's also important to know how to like put physical protections in place. Wards, spiritual baths, cleansings, psychic protection, like that's important. It kind of goes up to this idea of like faith without works is dead. So a lot of you maybe have been like living on faith and then realizing I'm kind of still getting my ass kicked down here. I might actually need to put on like a pair of boxing gloves and like start locking my door. So I think for some of you, there's also something about this circumstance that provides a lesson that like how do I want to phrase this? There are some people that like do not have to lift a finger. The Lord fights all of my battles, and that's great. But like, I want to say, to be honest, that's not like most of you, that like there is a large chunk of things you will be guided through, you will be covered from, you will be protected. But there's also like a certain percentage of circumstances where like you need to learn how to like stand on your feet and how to fight back and how to defend your space, your home, your energy, right? And that might mean having to like learn more about spirituality, about energy, about magic, about warding, about all of these things. And so I feel like some of you maybe are those kind of like, I live by faith, and you've maybe missed some of those more technical, albeit sometimes boring, but like those technical works. And so the faith and our protection, sometimes it can get a little faulty because again, we're not putting that work in with like the actual pillars, the actual wards, the actual protections that are needed. So I do think for some of you, even though like you maybe, if this is your story, because it came through like so quickly, the channel came through, this is your story, like you probably have gone through like kind of a difficult time, again, with whatever like this bullying or like this spiritual warfare is, but there is a lesson in there for you that like, sometimes you gotta hit back. Like sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. And again, there's something about learning your boundaries, or more so learning your limits, I want to say, with these like antagonistic energies, because that last like hit or kick or whatever they had or did throw at you, that is the thing that feels like it clicked you over into like your shadow side and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm here to play. And that's when you like step forward again in that vision, when they're like holding their ankle, oh my God, a snake just bit me. And don't be fooled, like the snake in the story, it is the divine coming in to give them a little bite on the ass. But you seem, when they stand up and they turn around and they get their foot off your neck, you seem to be like standing on your own 2 feet and going, you know what? Push. And like I just see you like pushing them in some way, again getting your own lick back. It's a little bit of a, and don't try that again, I learned a thing or two when I was down there on the floor. Now you have card number 37, so that breaks down to 10. That is a cycle completion, right? 3s are also a number of expansion, and 7s, much like 5 in numerology, they're kind of gritty. We don't have the harmony and the balance of the 4 or the 6. We don't have that nice cyclical flow that we get into the 8. We still have to put in a little effort, right? It's like the 7 of Cups. It's the 7 of Pentacles. It's the 7 of Swords. It's like we still gotta put a little effort, a little elbow grease in, yes? And so I do think that expansion and that 7, that kind of gritty 7, it's also saying that like the way that you complete this cycle is by being bigger than the challenge, is by taking on the grit and the grime and literally like using your elbow grease to get it off. So I do get the impression that like a lot of you don't have to do too much, but you have to do a little. You gotta put your back a little in to getting and separating you and this energy, you and this cycle, you and whatever this bully is, literal or metaphorical. And this card says curate your life. And so they're giving me this visualization. I'm hearing kick the can. And they're showing me a visualization of like you as the can, like kind of being like kicked, like, and just like pass between guides, pass between cycles, pass between people, and just kind of like rolling with the flow, like rolling with the punches. And there's a sense of like, that's not gonna work anymore. I don't know if it really worked to begin with, but it's certainly not gonna work anymore moving forward. And this curate your life, it's an invitation to step forward and be much more assertive, to be much more of a leader in your own life. A lot of times in this community, we'll pull out messages of like, you need to be a leader. We sometimes interpret that as we need to be leading other people, like sharing our wisdom, our knowledge. Sometimes, but a lot of times that message is actually meant to be interpreted of, hey, you're going too much with the flow. You want people to tell you what to do. You want maybe spirit to carry you from one thing to the next. You have to be a leader in your own life. You have to take charge. You have to decide on something. You have to accept the rewards and the consequences of that decision. Like you got to have a little skin in the game. And so I feel like there's something about this situation, even if it's gritty and kind of uncomfortable, and it is separating, like you're probably feeling the energy starting to get lighter, but you're also probably feeling a little bit of that like mosquito, fly, pestering type of energy that you're trying to regulate kind of your way through is the impression that I'm getting. But again, realizing that like you got to have a little skin in the game too, right? And if maybe you had like a little more skin in the game, maybe earlier, maybe whatever situation or whatever bully or whatever's going on, maybe it wouldn't have been permitted to get so far. But it's almost like this interesting experience or experiment like from your own shadow. Like how far will I let people take it? How many punches will I let them get in before I punch back? How long will I let them with me before I say or do anything about it, right? And so I definitely think it convicts the part of you that might be sort of apathetic or maybe sometimes wants like a hero to come in, and instead it kind of activates and inspires a lot of you to start stepping forward as more of the I was gonna say the healer, okay, the healer perhaps, and the hero in your own life. There's definitely a real big overarching message as well about taking your own advice, right? And so taking your own advice, being a leader in your own life, being a healer in your own life, these are things that are going to be really empowering for you and really help you start rebuilding a sense of self-respect and esteem and inner drive, inner motivation to kind of push you forward. In this Curate Your Life card, it's not lost on me that all of the actions really happening in the back of the mind. Here we have buds that haven't quite bloomed. We see that there are branches that look like maybe at one point they were blooming with leaves and now they look kind of dead, right? It's like in the bit of winter. But over here we can see that there are some leaves, there are some blooms starting to grow back, like after a very long winter. We see some birds here, like we kind of see a bit of life, a bit of activity returning to the brain. So a lot of you may also, as this energy is separated, as you kind of are standing up on your own 2 feet, sticking up for yourself, getting kind of your groove back, so to speak, that you may be finding that inspiration is slowly returning. Color appears. You're like, oh, maybe I could do this. It's almost like vision was very narrow. Dreams were very narrow. the ability to suss out possibilities was very narrow for a while. Now it's starting to open back up. But much like Plato's allegory of a cave, there's almost this like I'm getting kind of spooked as I'm like moving towards the light because I've just been in the dark for so long. And so that, just be mindful of that, because I just want to say, like, you might, especially it's eclipse season, I just feel like I'm getting this impression that you're like a little bit more skittish than usual. So you might even have like a lot of like jump scares, like the cat jumps across the kitchen and you're like, ah, like you just feel kind of like skittish to me, because like you're reacclimating to what your energy feels like when it's just your energy normal. Not without the interference or influence of like everyone else, not from like a reactionary state because someone's got their boot on your neck, not because you're operating out of this like wounded, I've been bullied for the past 6 months and now I gotta, none of that. Just your energy, normal, neutral, grounded, centered, as you are, as the good Lord made you, baby. You're getting used to that again. And so it feels like these little pops of energy that are external to you, that they used to be internal, but now they're external. And I posted earlier like a little mini message about the song Inside Out by Eve 6. So there might be something about Eve, the story of Eve and Lilith, that might be coming forward for you. Even like the Eve gene might be significant for you as well. And it was part of like a larger hour-long message I did over on the Patreon. So if you're interested in another LB hour-long message, that will be over there for you. But there's just feeling like of all of that stuff that was like inside that didn't belong to you, it's coming out now. And when you come across it in your travels, you just might be a little skittish, like, ooh, I didn't see that coming, because you're just like, I don't know, like reacclimating to your natural altitude, I want to say. And you may actually be finding that like your natural resting place energetically, I feel like you're remembering that it's much higher than it has been in a long time, that you vibrate, that you see the world, like spiritually, you're positioned at like a much higher level. It feels lighter, it feels brighter, it feels more positive, it feels like it's full of more possibility, but it's like you got stuck in the basement, you got stuck on the ground for so long. So there might even be like some, I don't know, like vertigo, almost like ascension like symptoms that you may be dealing with as you, I almost want to say it's like you're acclimating and like reinitiating back into your old energy. So you may even have some memories coming forward from when you first went down on the ground, or like when you first started getting bullied. It's like right before all of that weird stuff started happening to you, those memories feel like they're like coming back, because it's almost like your energy is resetting back to the point where it was before all of that weird stuff happened. But because that's like a past point, that once you like lock back in to like your energy before all of that, it has to like catch up now to where you are. So that's part, I think, where it's like part of like, I feel like I'm going backwards, but then I feel like I'm speeding up and moving forward really quickly. That might produce some like ascension like symptoms there. But I do get this feeling, and it's almost like a fear of like, well, what if my best days are behind me? Or what if my best ideas were behind me? Or what if like I really did miss out on that opportunity because of like this weird stuff or this challenging experience I've been through for such a long time? But I don't think that is the case. I think that's a valid fear, but I think the fact that things are regrowing, there are buds about to open up and bloom, the birds are here picking resources for its nest, that gives me the impression of mental capacity, mental health, also like spiritual awareness, spiritual gifting, all of that regenerating. You feel like you're in this tremendous period of regeneration of both like the strength of the mind, but also like the strength of the spirit as well. It reminds me in The Women Who Run with the Wolves, when they talk about singing over the bones as a part of the like rebirth and like regeneration process. You feel like that. You feel like La Loba. You feel like you're singing over the bones to me. But I also feel like, as I said, as this energy, you kind of move through these ascension like symptoms, your energy, it starts to get lighter and brighter and move its way kind of up. And as it gets up, inspiration, the widening of the lens, like that all starts happening. Like the bloom comes back to you, and you are reminded how high your energy naturally sits. And when you're perched, when you're kind of perched back up on your branch where you rightfully should be, you will look back down at where you were, and you will look back down at the people who treated you the way that they did, and you will notice how sharp the contrast is between you and those people, and where you naturally sit and where those people wanted to bring you. And you will no longer be confused on why you can show up just as you are and somehow still seem threatening or intimidating to other people who exist in a much lower and baser level of existing. And so I think that your sense of self, your self-concept is going to greatly improve. I also see the ego doing a tremendous amount of healing over the next 6 weeks. So pay attention to your solar plex chakra, because I see a lot of like healing and restoration happening in that area as well. But of course, if you're interested in diving into these energies a little bit more deeply, I do have that 50-minute reading over on the Patreon. I also have all of our September monthly readings as well. So if you're interested in a more specific zodiacal look at your chart and kind of what's going on for you this month, that is over on the Patreon as well. We also do daily spreads, tarot tips, all that fun stuff. So this is what I have, kind of like a really intense message that came through for you today, but so be it. That's the way the cookie crumbles, babe. I love you so much. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for being here and spending this time with me. Good luck, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.